16 million Americans have left their homes in just 5 years. Not because they love exploring, but because they can't survive. Taxes rising, costs climbing, healthcare deteriorating, crime spreading. If you're over 50, this video is for you. Because at this age, choosing the wrong place to live is pushing yourself into a financial and health crisis. We will show the 10 states where people are fleeing, with real data, real stories, and the reasons why the American dream in those places is collapsing. Watch until the end, you will know. Which places to avoid immediately if you want a safe retirement. What is pushing millions of people out, and how to avoid the most expensive mistake of your life. Stay until the end, because choosing the right place to live now could save you later. 10. California, the kingdom that has lost its crown. There are places that were once dreams, but even dreams can grow tired. California, the shining jewel of America's West Coast, is witnessing something no one wants to believe. People are no longer coming. They are leaving, and not a small wave. It is an exodus of unprecedented scale, lasting for 5 years, but accelerating sharply since 2020. From a place once called the paradise of choices, California has now become a symbol of suffocating costs and failed policies. The median home price has surpassed $850,000, and in San Francisco or San Jose, that number easily reaches $1.2 million. Rent is sky high, electricity costs have doubled in 10 years, and state income tax reaches 13.3%, the highest in the country. Retirees cannot stay. Young people cannot start. Families that once had 3 generations living side by side are now separated by the borders of survival costs. Added to that are the growing shadows. Homelessness spreading from Los Angeles to Oakland. Crime showing signs of rising. Many once lively neighborhoods becoming deserted. Shopping centers, small stores, even tech company offices, all are leaving one by one. A YouTube viewer commented bluntly, "Traffic is bad on every street and finding a place to live is almost impossible." The glamour of Hollywood lights is gone, leaving only a sense of congestion and instability. California is still beautiful, still sunny, but for many people, the price of staying no longer makes sense. A population decline of more than 500,000 in just 3 years is a cold indicator. But behind that number are millions of stories. People selling their homes and moving to Texas, retirees heading to Nevada, young people packing their dreams and driving to Idaho. Are you living in California? Share in the comments. What is really happening where you live? Because your story might help someone make the right decision. 9. New York. When people turn their backs on their own homeland. Once the American dream, New York is now becoming an unfinished dream for hundreds of thousands of people. No longer the story of a few individual families. This is a quiet but determined wave of departure. An escape from taxes, from housing costs, from the suffocating feeling in the very place they once believed was home. From 2020 until now, more than 500,000 people have left New York, and the number is not stopping. 8 out of 10 cities and towns across the state are losing population. A place where people once fought for every inch of land is now watching them leave, leaving behind dusty for sale signs and neighborhoods that were once vibrant, but now feel as cold as a winter that never ends. It's not just because rent has skyrocketed, and not just because income tax reaches nearly 14%, among the highest in the United States. What makes people leave is the feeling that no one listens to them anymore. When you have lived your whole life here, contributed, paid taxes, but in the end are pushed out by the very system you once trusted, that is the deepest pain. One commenter said, High taxes and the cost of living keeps rising. People aren't vacationing, they're escaping. It sounds harsh, but that is the truth no one wants to face. Ms. Maria, an elementary school teacher living in Long Island, once saw this place as her forever home. But every year, property taxes increased. The roads got more congested, and the shops around her kept shutting down one by one. It's not that she doesn't love this place, but love doesn't pay the bills. In Buffalo, a young couple left the first home they had lovingly renovated. They didn't leave because they hated their hometown. They left because their children needed a future, one this place could no longer promise. New York didn't collapse in a single night. It cracked little by little, through every higher bill, every friend who moved away, every neighborhood that lost its lights. Are you living in New York? What are you witnessing where you are? Press like and subscribe, because sharing your story might light the way for someone deciding whether to stay or leave. 8. Illinois. A state weighed down by its own past. Once the industrial pride of America, Illinois now feels like an exhausted giant. The population has declined steadily for an entire decade, and the newest numbers only confirm one thing. The wave of departures is no longer a phenomenon. It is a trend. In the most recent year, more than 80,000 residents left the state, and most of them are not young people chasing opportunities, but families who have lived here their whole lives, older adults seeking a more stable, lighter life. In the suburbs of Chicago, many people speak of an unspoken uneasiness, the feeling that costs keep rising endlessly, from property tax bills, healthcare insurance to grocery prices, while quality of life stays the same, or even declines. Some say that property taxes alone take up more than 1/3 of their retirement income, turning what should be restful years into a new phase of worry. That is when people start asking themselves, keep the familiar home, or find another place to actually live well. The story doesn't stop at costs. Illinois is struggling with an enormous pension debt, accumulated over generations due to unsustainable spending policies. When the state budget prioritizes paying six-figure pensions to tens of thousands of former employees, community services, from healthcare and welfare to education, begin to run short. Residents feel it every day. Clinics closing, schools cutting programs, roads deteriorating without repair funds. Illinois is not losing people because of a single reason. It is losing little by little, from trust being eroded, from the quiet withdrawal of those who once placed their full faith in this place. And that is raising a clear, unavoidable question. Is there still any reason to stay when life is increasingly no longer in your own hands? Are you living in Illinois, or have you been connected to this place? Share your experience, because the real voices from those who are living it are the most valuable for anyone considering a change in direction. 7. New Jersey. The land near the capital, but with distant costs. New Jersey, a state known for its high population density, close to New York and Philadelphia, seems like an ideal place to live and work. But beneath that glamorous exterior is a reality sending troubling signals. People are fleeing, not because they want to, but because they have to. In New Jersey real estate, the median home price has reached about $427,600, more than 40% higher than the national average. The cost of owning a home is already a burden, not to mention property taxes and local taxes constantly increasing. Government assessments mark this state as one of the highest in the nation in tax burden per dollar of income, where residents must weigh their monthly contributions against the value they receive in public services and community safety. It's also no coincidence that a survey shows New Jersey is among the fastest states in the nation for internal population loss. Within a decade, more than 500,000 people and tens of billions of dollars in income have flowed out of the state. A clear sign that here, not everything matches the promise. In a suburban area of the state, a middle-aged couple, after more than 3 decades of stable living, suddenly realized every year property taxes increased by several $1,000s. The roads were becoming more congested, and schools and public services were no longer being invested in as before. They did not leave because of nature, but because the cost of staying had exceeded the limits of normal living. They wanted a place where each dollar of their pension or savings would not be eroded by expenses and taxes, and many people chose to move to states with lower taxes and an easier lifestyle. Even though New Jersey still has the advantage of location and infrastructure close to the capital, that advantage is being overshadowed by 2 major issues: costs that are too high and taxes that are too heavy. Older adults, especially those preparing for retirement, are asking a very real question. Is the money I spent my whole life earning truly enough to live peacefully in this place? If you are living in New Jersey or have lived here before, what was the last straw that made you think about leaving? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story is the voice many people 50+ are waiting to hear before deciding. 6. Louisiana. When the land and the people both break apart, Louisiana is not only losing land, but also losing the trust of its own people. The once prosperous wetlands, the great rivers that were once the lifeblood, are now slowly sinking underwater, while residents are leaving one after another. Every year, tens of thousands of people abandon the place they once called home, not because they lack love, but because they no longer have a choice. Here, the question is no longer about where to live, but whether you can survive at all. In many areas, skyrocketing home insurance has forced families to sell quickly because they can't afford the payments. A modest home suddenly becomes a financial burden simply because it's classified as a high-risk zone. And that risk comes not only from storms and floods, but also from the abandonment in infrastructure investment and public services. People often talk about sinking land and coastal erosion, but perhaps what worries Louisianans most is the collapse of faith in the future. When rural hospitals close, schools lack qualified teachers, and roads fall apart, who would dare bet the rest of their life on a place like that? An elderly man who lived in Lafayette shared, "It's not that I want to leave, but every time I see my grandchild playing in the backyard, I ask myself, will this house even still be standing in 10 more years?" And so they sold their home, moved away, and Louisiana lost another loyal piece. Louisiana is not losing people because of a single storm, but because of thousands of small cracks in policy and living conditions, in hope. Those cracks make no sound, but they cause an entire state to slowly sink, not in water, but in the silent retreat of its own residents. If you are living in Louisiana or have witnessed the changes here, remember to press like and subscribe so you don't miss the next parts. 5. Mississippi. When those who stay feel like they're disappearing too. In Mississippi, the question is no longer why are people leaving, but why is anyone still staying? Over the past 2 decades, the state has lost tens of thousands of residents every year. And the worrying part is this: most of them are young, educated, and capable of building a future. In just 1 decade, Mississippi has lost more than 10% of its population aged 25 to 34, and more concerning, for every 3 college graduates, 2 choose to leave the state. That is not an easy choice, but the result of a system that has become far too stagnant. Median income is the lowest in the nation. Poverty grips 1 in 5 residents. Meanwhile, rural areas, once the backbone of the community, have become empty. Hospitals closing, schools merging, churches no longer having enough people for Sunday service. Places once filled with children's laughter are now silent. A person who once lived in the suburbs of Jackson shared, "My child doesn't want to come back." She said, "Mom, I don't want to raise my kids in a place where it takes 3 weeks to see a doctor, where schools teach things that are no longer relevant, and where the neighbors have all moved away." The truth is, Mississippi is not only losing people, but losing the reason to keep them. There aren't enough quality jobs, and there's no belief that life tomorrow will be better than today. And when a generation no longer places hope in the place where they were born, that's when we must seriously ask, what is really happening? Are you living in Mississippi? Did you leave or stay? Share your real experience in the comments. Every story you share carries the power to change perspectives. And if you find this video thought-provoking, please like and subscribe to spread more meaningful messages. 4. Hawaii, a paradise that is slowly being closed off. Hawaii, a world-renowned destination with golden sunset beaches, turquoise waters, and an atmosphere that feels like a never-ending vacation. But please don't let the beauty blur the reality. This is a place where people are quietly leaving, because living here is no longer a choice but a calculation of every dollar. The state's population has plunged. From 2020 to 2024, Hawaii lost about 20,000 people solely due to internal migration, an alarming rate for a place once called a land like no other. Home prices and rent have soared to the point that only 1 in 5 households can afford a median-priced home. The result? Native residents, older adults, even retirees from the mainland who once sought refuge here, are all struggling to pay the price for what is called paradise. A local farmer who spent his whole life growing coconuts on the islands said, "It's not that I want to leave this place, but every time I see the bills rising and young people moving to other cities, I ask myself, is there still a place for me here?" In Hawaii, the issue is not only the cost, it is the wounding of identity. When once in paradise has turned into once leaving because living in that paradise is no longer possible. Are you living in Hawaii? Or have you ever dreamed of living here? Share your true story, because people aged 50 plus are asking themselves, is being in paradise but not living comfortably still the right choice? 3. Alaska, where majestic nature becomes a test of survival. Alaska, once the antidote to boredom, a place people came to begin a new life surrounded by snow and ice. But now, that very new life is slowly becoming a risky choice. Statistics show that Alaska has been experiencing more than 10 consecutive years of population loss, and forecasts indicate that if this trend continues, the total population will drop significantly before 2050. Here, the cost of living is no small factor. The price of food, building materials, and transportation to remote areas all are far higher than in most other states. Retirees and middle-aged people with fixed incomes understand this better than anyone. They come to Alaska seeking peace, but sometimes must pay the price of a paradise, a price they never expected. A local resident said, "Living conditions here are good. If you don't need to be close to services or aren't afraid of snow covering your windows for months." A blunt statement, but one filled with a message older adults should hear. It's not only about the cost, but also the retreat of the younger generation and the workforce. The age group from 20 to 39 is gradually shrinking while the population is aging rapidly. When there are no young people to continue the cycle, many remote areas begin to grow silent. Empty markets, closed schools, streets that were once lively now deserted. Imagine this. You're 55, retired, living in a home that was once your dream. And now every winter you're not only battling snow and ice, but also waiting for someone to fix the pipes when the road to your house is frozen over. Alaska is still beautiful. The mountains, the snow, the northern lights are all there. But that beauty no longer naturally translates into an easy way of living. That's when you must consider, do I still have enough strength to live in a place where every step requires effort? If you are living in Alaska or have ever thought about moving there, do you feel that your steps are still steady? Share your experience in the comments. And if you feel this video brings new insight and value, 2. West Virginia. When majestic mountains become a painting waiting to fade in an era of change. West Virginia, once the cradle of the coal industry and American working-class spirit, is now experiencing a different and less visible journey. Its population continues to decline. Young generations leave, and living infrastructure moves as slowly as a trail through Rocky Mountains. This is a state that no longer has much time for promises, but is being forced to face practical choices. From 2010 to 2020, West Virginia lost more than 3% of its population, the highest percentage decrease in the nation. The reasons: a weakening coal industry, disappearing job opportunities, low income levels while living and healthcare costs keep rising, and a birth rate lower than the death rate, meaning there are not enough young people to replace those leaving or passing away. In many remote areas, internet connectivity is a real issue. Slow service, weak signals, preventing older adults from working remotely, children from learning online, leaving behind the silence of many empty homes. A local resident who lived 40 years in a coal mining town said, "I didn't leave because I didn't love this place. I left because this place no longer loved us." That moment wasn't today. It was when people realized that fighting every day to survive no longer carried the same meaning as wanting to live. The major difference between West Virginia and other states is this. It's not just about high costs, but the loss of living structure and community. When schools close because there aren't enough students, when hospitals have to wait months to hire doctors, when the old economy disappears and the new one hasn't yet arrived. That is when people aged 50 plus begin to think, do I have enough time and health to wait for change? Are you living in West Virginia, or have you left this place? What made you choose to stay or go? Share your true story in the comments so everyone can listen and reflect. If you find these insights valuable, please like and subscribe so you don't miss the next parts featuring 10 states being forgotten. 1. North Dakota. So quiet that no one even hears you leaving. Perhaps no one is surprised that North Dakota tops the list of states people quietly leave. No political scandals, no loud crime, no devastating wildfires like California. But it is precisely this deadly silence that makes residents pack their bags, leave quietly, and almost no one notices. Imagine a state where winters drag on endlessly, temperatures can drop to 30 degrees Celsius, and the roads feel like they freeze life itself. A place young people call no opportunity land, a land with no future. Even though it was once a bright spot thanks to the shale oil boom, North Dakota can no longer hold on to its momentum. The extraction industry has shrunk, and unstable oil prices make the economy shaky. The jobs from the boom years are gone, and workers have no reason to stay. In 2023, North Dakota remained among the top states with the highest rate of people leaving. And the real reason isn't natural disasters, but the absence of anything that makes people want to live here. Ask yourself, if you are at retirement age, Would you want to spend the rest of your life in a place without a strong healthcare system? Without cultural or entertainment centers? Without a large community? A place where every snowfall means a whole week of being stuck indoors? One viewer once shared, "I lived here for nearly 40 years, and I didn't leave because I hated this place. I was tired of feeling like I was temporarily living in my own home. My kids never came back. My friends sold their homes one by one. All that was left was silence." North Dakota doesn't collapse with an explosion. It just slowly sinks as each family and each individual quietly leaves. It's the kind of collapse that makes no sound, but is very real, very visible. Have you ever lived, worked, or visited North Dakota? Share your true feelings. What made you love or leave this place? Your comment will be a puzzle piece in the bigger picture that many people are trying to understand. You've just gone through 10 states that millions of people are leaving, not out of emotion, but out of survival instinct. When taxes rise, home prices slip out of reach, the healthcare system is overloaded, and the sense of safety disappears. People have no choice but to leave. If you're living in one of those places, or thinking about moving there, this is the moment to stop and look clearly. Where am I standing? How long can I realistically hold on? Leave a comment. Which state are you living in? Which parts of this video made you stop and think? Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss the latest analysis, and press like if you found this information valuable. Choosing the right place to live today is protecting yourself tomorrow. Remember, no one can save you better than you can.